Hello, ladies. Welcome to another self-love conversation. My name is Gloria Ward, and we are celebrating Black Business Month and women all year round, 365. And I have an amazing woman that I'm going to interview tonight where we're going to talk about career, we're going to talk about business, and her name is Miss Sondra Sutton Phung, and she leads a team that has delivered over 1 billion. That's a B, you guys, of profit for Ford Motor Company iconic SUV portfolio. Recently named the marketing general manager for electric vehicles, she leveraged her STEM and HBCU education, HBCU, that's me,
Absolutely.
to create her transformational data-driven marketing approach. Her perspective impacts millions in the automotive tech industry. Ms. Phung is reducing the learning curve and sharing how leaders can accelerate their results. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Which HBCU did you go to?
Well, I attended one exceptional university, and that is Clark Atlanta University. Graduated in
Oh,
1997. I'm a Panther for life, with the motto of find a way or make one. So, love my university.
that's exactly what we do. I am the class of 2002 from Clark Atlanta University.
Are you really
Yes, I
awesome?
am. Yes, I
Look at
am.
this. This was meant to be. This
I know
podcast
it.
was meant to be.
I am a Panther for life. I'm still here in Atlanta.
Okay.
So I am super happy. So, here we are. I thank you for coming. You're a woman doing amazing things in the business industry. You have made such an impact, and now with everything going digital, there's a lot of disruption going on. How did you get here? How did you get to this point?
Well, I will tell you, my story is like a lot of HBCU student stories. I'm a first generation college student.
Mhm.
So I actually, my STEM journey began out of necessity because I knew that my parents could not afford a 4-year private college. And thankfully, I was able to secure an academic scholarship and I graduated with honors with both a master's and bachelor's degree in mathematics. So STEM has been with me all my life. I joined Ford and it was my 5-year plan.
Yeah.
I'm on my 25th year at
Wow.
the company, so I'm 20 years overdue from that plan, but it's been an amazing journey. I will tell you that I've had the pleasure of working 10 years overseas and 6 years in China, 3 in Japan, and then a year and a half in Thailand. So when you say you work at Ford, you have to realize it's a global company and it feels like I've had at least 10 different jobs, but it's all with one company. So it's been a fascinating journey and one that I'm still really happy to be on.
Oh man, I love that story because, I think about my own journey coming from New York. I always tell people, I came with a dream, one big green bag on a Greyhound bus, couldn't afford to get in school, but I got
Mhm.
in school. A beautiful lady allowed me to get in school with the last that I have, which was $68. And I've
Wow.
never let that lady down. I got a bachelor's and master's in computer science, and I was able to really allow myself to soar. So I understand what the power of HBCUs can do because, most of the time, if you just are given a chance, you just never know, how
I
far you
mean,
can go.
you are so right. I will tell you, the people at that HBCU at Clark were my family in
Mhm.
so many ways. When I got married, the head of the academic scholarship that I was on, he was at the wedding, as was the secretary from that same shop, and the people that I graduated with, we still get together. One last weekend was begging me to come up to Martha's Vineyard with her, and I was trying to find a way, but I couldn't make it happen. But that's a friendship of 30 years. And what I will say to you is it literally changed my life because there have been so many times in my career where I've had self-doubt, where I felt like, the imposter syndrome of being the only Black woman in the room. Um, and I have to think about my HBCU, and it told me to find a way or make one, and it made me realize that I was good enough and I deserved to be in that room.
Exactly. I was preparing for this interview, and I always read a lot because I always like to know. I took the entrepreneurship route, right? So
Mhm.
for me, I probably lasted at a corporation. I was at AT&T for just a little bit in my life, right? Only
Mhm.
because I felt like I wanted to be free and be out and have my own ideas. Um, but I found this McKinsey report, and I just wanted to see where it was women in the workplace for 2021, right?
Mhm.
And with big bold letters is what outraged me. Women of color
Mhm.
continue to have the worst experience at work, right?
Yes, it
Now
is
let me
absolutely true. I
but let me
will.
preface this like this, where there's a lot of things that we know that go on in corporate America, right? and 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 what we know is what people tell us in these reports and things like that. But what was your experience, or is your experience, and how does that experience shape you to be better and also work with other women, especially African American women, to kind of help shape them so that they could continue to, progress in their career?
What I would say to you is, I think I saw and read the same study, so
Hmm.
it did give me pause, and it made me think about my own journey. There have been two times in my career where I have requested that the team look at my pay. And the reason I did was it looked really close to people who were working for me and
Mm.
who reported to me. And I thought to myself, am I getting paid equitably for the same work that my counterparts are doing? And twice in my career, the answer was obviously no, because my pay was um, adjusted.
Mhm.
So the first thing I will say to any woman of color um, in corporate America or in any role is know your worth,
Mhm.
right? Know your worth. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Obviously, ask it the right way. I didn't go in and say I'm not being paid enough. I literally said, I talked to a mentor and said who was sitting on one of the committees that looks at this type of stuff. And I said, hey, I'm not trying to create waves. I just would really appreciate if you would look and let me know, or not let me know, but let someone know if
Mhm.
I'm, being paid a fair wage for the work that I'm doing. And it's not that I was getting paid bad money.
Right.
It's just that you want to make sure that as you're, busting and grinding for the work that you're doing, that you're getting paid it equitably. And twice that was not the case, but I really thank the mentors in both situations who supported me, and I even won't even call them mentors. I call them advocates
Gotcha.
because there's a difference between mentors and advocates. Advocates break down barriers
Mhm.
that will inevitably exist in a large corporation. They break those barriers down for you when you don't have the power to do it yourself. And
Gotcha.
so um, you create advocates by being amazing, by delivering, and by showing up the right way.
Wow.
But what I will say is that everyone in their careers, especially Black women, need an advocate.
Mm. The reason why, and thank you for answering the question, is because, a lot of the women who listen to this podcast when we talk about how we can progress and how we could do well in business and in their careers, the biggest fear is speaking up, right?
Mhm,
The biggest fear is, well, I don't want to challenge it because I need to take care of my family and
mhm.
it's okay, right? And just saying you need to know how to ask and have an advocate is a huge value piece because it I think help gives the level of comfortability so that they know a route that they can take so that they can start to progress. Because I hear it all the time, Sondra, where they're like, I'm working long hours. I don't see my kids a lot, and I'm trying to make it work, and I'm trying to balance, and I know I need more money, but I got this ceiling and wall, right?
It's a feeling we all have. I would be lying to you to say I popped out of Clark and I came into Ford, with it all figured out. I absolutely did not.
Hmm.
Um, Even to this day, because I'm from a small town in Georgia, Ashburn, Georgia, I'll give a shout out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, is 5,000 people. Grew up to be super respectful of my elders and of, having a good job. And so there were many times I didn't rock the boat. And there were
Hmm.
many times I did not speak up. Um, but I met an amazing mentor and who became an advocate. And he kind of changed things for me because he made me realize that we have to support each other in this environment that isn't always I don't want it to make it sound like people do things intentionally.
Hmm.
I often say they do things that they are used to or comfortable with.
Gotcha.
I had someone tell me one time they'd rather have the B player they know than the A player they don't know,
Wow.
right?
Hmm.
And when they said that to me, I thought about this could be a reason why so many of us don't have an opportunity because they would rather have the B player they know,
Hmm.
right? And so I will say to you that it is a journey, but I wish I had had a mentor, an advocate early in my career. I think, selfishly, I believe I would be at least one level higher had I had that kind of guidance.
Hmm.
Um, but what I will tell everyone who joins the company now, anyone who reaches out to me knows I will say this is if you have questions, reach out, um, secure your advocate, put your 5-year plan together, stress test that 5-year plan with people because, in some companies, you have to be very specific. Like, these are the things I want to do over the next 5 years. Do
Mm.
you think this is a feasible plan?
Wow.
If not, what should I do to change it? Am I in the right roles? Because I took a lot of roles because they were cool, they were interesting, but they were not the right roles to move me to the next level.
Right.
So you need to stress test your plan against people who are already well above where you are and
Hmm.
can tell you, are you on the right track?
Right. And ladies, I hope you listen to this podcast over and over again where you have to be able to get an advocate. You have to be able to get yourself a mentor. All of you who are saying, "Yes, I got to get a mentor." It is vital, especially you guys in corporate America who always come to me saying, "Hey, I'm trying to figure this thing out." And then, Miss Andra, we have those business owners like myself who want to approach a company like you,
Mhm.
like Ford Motor Company, who might be minority owned, woman owned, business. And we, I get a lot of the questions of saying, well, how do I get in? What is good for me? What is it that the company wants so I can actually work with them? What are some of the advice you have for those women who are listening?
Oh, that's a great question. I will tell you that everything starts with you having a valuable product or service that that company is in need of, right? That really is the relationship that starts. Like, how do you package what it is that you're delivering? I get a lot of private emails via LinkedIn, and sometimes I'm curious as to, who's coaching these people to approach me about something because some of it is so ridiculous and but do you have a product, a service that can provide additional value to my company? And
Mhm.
if you do, how are you going to package that message to me?
Right,
Right? So that's really where it starts. You have to have something that I need or want or that can make me better.
right.
The second one is provide excellent customer service. Your best advocates for whatever product or service you're trying to sell are the people who are using it today, right? So,
Right.
you basically realize that, guarded networks, and
Mhm.
these networks, people talk to each other. People say, I've had a great experience with X. You should try her out. And
Right.
because I trust you, I am going to try her out.
Mhm.
Right. And you have to build trust and credibility with people. Everything can't be about making the sale of your product or service at all costs. Like I recently had a conversation with the team at Google where I needed something really quickly, and I knew they could run the analytics for me. And the team delivered for me, but not with this expectation of, now, Sondra, there has to be this gold mine coming,
Yeah.
but it was, you're building trust and credibility by providing something that I needed that was with to me, that their valuable product or service that they provided to me. And this is one that's really important to me. And I think most people at Ford would say this is my brand. Treat people like friends and build relationships.
Mhm.
Don't be so transactional, and try to be personable, and you'll get there. You'll get there. It doesn't mean buying gifts or taking people out, but just
Mhm.
treat them like they are a person. I'm a mom. I have a 9-year-old who's in the other room who I had to say, make sure your iPad's low enough while I'm on this podcast. Like we have so many things in common with other people that it doesn't actually have to be about, I need to talk to you about the sale today. And
Right.
then that's it. Um, and then be willing to show that you are agile and can shift your position and style, not because I told you to, but because the business or the economics and require it. And I often say to people, no one expected COVID, but we adjusted, right? We
Yes.
adjusted as people, we adjusted as companies, we adjusted as schools, and being able to show that you are true to your company's value in times of change, but that you are also willing to grow and learn and evolve is also an important element that I would say a small business has to be able to show, because big companies can easily do that, right? It's the because they have the capital. But
Mhm.
small companies have to be a bit more nimble with what they're using and how they're able to look around the corner, see changes coming, and anticipate how they're going to manage it. I've been fascinated to see some of the stories during COVID as to how people just, adjusted.
Yeah, and how, I tell the ladies all the time, they're like, I just want my one shot. I just want to be able to, get in and I want to work with, some of these companies. And I tell them, it takes time because people want to work with people that they know and that they can trust, right? And that's hard
Right.
when you're coming from the outside. You have to be able to play the long game, right?
You absolutely have to build those networks and build the credibility within those networks. I if we have enough time, I'll tell a personal story where I was I'm in Jack and Jill of America. I don't know if you're familiar
Yeah,
with the
Jack and Jill.
organization.
Yeah.
Yeah. And last year I was on medical leave because I was ill, and I was the 2 days before the surgery, the hospital calls and says, "Hey, we can't do this, and that. You need to go and do one more test." And I was at wit's end. It was already a major surgery. Sitting here thinking, I can't really take any more. I
Right.
go to the place they send me. The place says, "Oh, sorry, we don't do that here." So now it's the day before the surgery.
Oh.
And I called one of my Jack and Jill sister moms, and they listened to me. I was crying on the phone. And the next thing I know, I didn't realize that her husband sits on the board of the hospital
Oh,
that I
wow.
was having the surgery
Oh,
at.
wow. See?
And the call wasn't even about that, but it was just because she knows me, the type of person I am, how I had done everything right. And
Mhm.
she just got to work and she cleared that path for me. And what I will say is that was just the power of network.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And and I want to go into something that I know is very important, and that is leadership.
Hmm.
You being in this leadership role and you're, you know, making the kind of moves that you're making, you're delivering over 1 billion of profit. How how did your leadership skills develop over time to where you are now? Because that is another big piece, Sondra, where people know the concept of leadership, but not the delivery of it and what it takes to really be that leader out there with a team. So, can you explain how you develop that over time?
Absolutely. Well, first, I will say the product portfolio that I have managed when I was part of the SUV team is definitely a team effort. I would be remiss to say that, it was all because of me that 1 billion was made. It was because of a large team behind us that helped make it happen. What I will say to you, you're absolutely right about leadership. It is a journey, and it's a journey best taken with a guide, is what I would say.
Mm,
And it goes back to those mentors and leaders. My journey is not one that I would say, follow this, right? Because every decision I made was the best decision, I knew how,
right.
right? And sometimes that wasn't the best decision.
Hmm.
And what I learned over time was look at the people around you, right? Um, they always, I had one mentor tell me, you're walking down the hall. This is when I was an analyst, so it was very early in my career. She said,
Hmm.
always carry a notebook in your hand and walk like you're going somewhere, even if it's to the bathroom. And I was looking at her like, I've
Really?
been here 2 years. What do you want from me? I'd only been at the
Yeah.
company 2 years, but it was insight into perception, right?
Hmm.
If people just see you walking down the hall and you look too happy, maybe you're not working hard enough. And she was just at that, 2020, that would have been 23 years ago. She was telling me, perception mattered,
Wow.
right? And mind you, a lot of people don't walk with notebooks in their hand anymore because they have
Yeah,
smartphones.
smartphones.
But what I will tell you is remember that you're always being watched and you're always being evaluated. And so, people are like, I'm just going to be me. Well, that may not work for the company that you're in. And I
Yeah.
and I say that with all honesty, because I remember 3 years ago I was recruiting at Clark, Atlanta. I've been
Mhm.
recruiting there for over 20 years, and trying to encourage more students to come to Ford. And one of the students asked me, I wear my hair natural. Is that going to be an issue?
Mhm.
One, I was thankful that it was me she was talking to,
Mhm.
because she was going to get a really honest answer. Number one, that she felt comfortable asking the question. I don't think it if it had been a white male across the table would she have asked that question. But I also was really happy to say to her, if you'd asked me that 25 years ago when I started, I probably would have said no. But Ford has evolved and changed. And you and your beautiful brown, natural curly hair is welcome at our company. And it made me really think about the arc
Mm.
of the time that I've been here. 25 years is a long time to be at a company, but you see that change.
Absolutely.
And I've been able to see that change. And sorry, I'm diverting from your question, but what I will say to you is, you know, one, always deliver results on time with high quality. I mean, that's the way a leader leads, right?
Mhm.
Even if you're the analyst, make sure you show up the right way. Um, I said on time, but be on time, be early, make sure that you know your stuff. Um, I can tell you, I just joined this new team. Some of the people on the team have been in the role 3, 4 years. I feel like the dumbest person in the room every week. But, I'm learning about battery cells and
Yep.
lithium and nickel and,
Mhm.
range anxiety and all these things. But what I'm doing is taking that anxiety, and every night I dedicate an hour to read about electric vehicles. It
Mhm.
is, whether it's my competition, whether it's our vehicles, whatever I can to constantly build that knowledge. Because one thing I will tell you, no leader, no senior leader has gotten to where they are without being a continuous learner.
Oh, say
It's
that.
not getting to this point and then saying, I'm done, just listen to me because of something I know. You're continuously improving yourself, continuously learning and growing, and you have to do that.
And you heard it from someone else besides me. I tell them all the time, you're always learning. I
Mhm,
would say, to the group, what is the last course you took?
mhm,
Right? What is the last book you read?
mhm,
Right? And whenever that was, you need to read more. You know why? Because the world is changing,
right?
right? And if you are a business owner, if you are a C-suite employee or whatever it is that you're doing, you have to continuously learn because things change, right?
Yes.
And you have to be able to understand and know what's going on, not just your craft. And that's where a lot of business owners get stuck, where I only want to make cakes. That's the only thing that I want to do, right? Everybody can take care of everything else. Well, that's how you get robbed blind, right? Because
Yeah,
you didn't sit down to figure out how to use QuickBooks. You didn't sit down to figure out how to read a balance sheet. You left it to
right.
someone else,
Mhm. No,
right?
you're absolutely right. You're it's so funny, and it can be in any aspect of your life. My daughter's um principal, she gave the first 15 parents that were willing to read this book. She bought the book for us, but it was teaching us how to be parents that allow our children to fail, right?
Mm,
And because you learn through failure
yeah,
and you
sure
grow
do.
through failure and you learn what you don't want to feel like again, as
Absolutely.
opposed to us rushing to put the pillow on them so they can land softly.
Yep. Mhm.
I will tell you that it's so important for us, but the book was fascinating and I learned a lot and I am using some of those tips. But I will tell you it's the same thing with leadership. I haven't been in a consumer marketing role. It's been probably 10 years. So I'm taking a digital marketing course through the
Mm,
Digital Marketing Institute
yeah,
because yes, we have digital marketers at Ford, but who has the time to sit down and teach me? But I
right,
need to learn, I need to
right.
grow. And to your point, I'm willing to use my own money to get there.
Mhm. Like for me, I told everyone, I'm taking a storytelling course, right?
Mhm,
How to tell good stories. Now,
mhm,
I told them a lot of you guys might not think it's important, but stories is how we communicate back and forth. A
mhm.
person will love to hear a good story versus you talking about you all day,
Right.
right? You
Yeah.
know, and so my last question for you, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, is with all the success you have and everything, how do you actually find balance? How do you
Mm.
have that downtime where you are spending time with your family and you're doing stuff for you? How do you manage that?
I will tell you, it is not easy, and you have to be intentional. So
Mm,
sometimes we say, "Oh, it's just, this is how you do it." There is, you have to be intentional.
mm,
Um, I only have one daughter, one child, one daughter, and I love her to bits. And I have to be intentional when I want to take her to camp in the morning. I
mm,
will take the phone call in the car, or I will skip the meeting because I will not get this time back,
yeah.
right? And what I will tell you is there's nothing like having a health emergency to make you realize what's important and who's going to be there for you when the chips are down. And I was thankful to be surrounded by so much love last year from so many people, but it really did make me realize that, if you need to go on a 3-day wellness retreat, go.
Absolutely.
If you need, to just take a girlfriend trip, go.
Hmm.
Um, and for me and my husband, we are probably can get badges for being amazing moms and dads, but he and I realized we haven't been on a trip for a while, just the two of us. So we're planning one. Go.
Good.
But it has to be intentional or it just won't happen. Um, and I think that's so important because you have to realize that life is about experiences and joy. And what's the name of the best man?
Yeah.
He said faith, family, football. I say faith, family, and forward.
Uh,
My faith, my family, and forward
yeah.
because that's the order of my life right now.
Absolutely. I say, you got to keep your cup full because it's when your
Mhm.
cup that runneth over that everyone else gets the blessing, right? So I
Absolutely.
have to be able to stay full. I have to be able to make sure I'm doing my due diligence because everything that runs out of me gets on you, and you are blessed and we are blessed, right?
Right.
But
And
you
I
got
mean,
to stay
and the
full in
basics
your
of
cup.
matter too. Like you said, that fullness is getting enough sleep,
Yep.
getting some exercise, which I definitely haven't done in the last 2 months in this job
Mhm.
as I'm getting up to speed.
Right.
But to that point, I have to be intentional. And you're absolutely right. That self-love and self-care is what really, really makes a difference in, just being happy.
Absolutely. Miss
Mhm.
Sandra, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for giving us so many good nuggets that we can take back, even as a professional or business owner, because, when we have guests and we have the guests come on and say the same thing, that's when it clicks. Because it's like, oh, I guess I really need to really focus on my business, or I really need to take more courses in my career. I say it all the time. You got to be able to grow. You have
Mhm.
to be able to see what leadership looks like. And ladies, you see what leadership looks like. Is there any way? Well, I don't know. Do you want people to reach out to you? Because these people, I'm telling the truth.
You can reach out on LinkedIn.
I will say this. You can go to her LinkedIn and you could read her LinkedIn, add her on LinkedIn, ladies, and go ahead and be respectful, of her time, and please just give her a shout out and let her know that you enjoyed this interview. Thank you so much for being here. Okay.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And From one Panther to another, I'm extremely proud of you for following your goals and your dreams and
Thank
really
you.
shining. So thank you so much.
And thank you for continuing to, give your light and your talent to the people that you serve. And I know already just by talking to you, the level of excellence that you require. And I know that they just have a gem there at Ford. And I'm so grateful that you come from Clark Atlanta University because these are the stories that we love to hear, you know? So
All
it's
right.
amazing.
Well, thank
So,
you so much. You
all
have an
right.
amazing evening.
You too.
Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye.